Eve paints.
Hey folks, welcome to another 3D printing Patreon preview. I have 205 campaigns to share with you this week, with an additional 20 in the lightning round at the end. My laptop has been in the shop lately, so I had to make this video on my old one, requiring a few compromises. I apologize in advance for any glitchiness or mistakes I've made. This machine couldn't really play back the video for review. Quick content warning: some campaigns contain pinup style models. I've left a link in the description to a video about why that may need a content warning. First up, this sculpt by Homunculus Creations is titled Temperance. Realm of Paths has 3 potential demon princes for you. Dungeon Dog Miniatures has a bunch of different zombies this month. Ratman Forge, formerly Skaven Trader, has a redneck recording studio and is working on a mech. 2 Moronic Miniatures' August release is titled The Deepest Dark. Here are some of the fresh sculpts from What the Hell Mental Creations. Zombie Smith always has a fun cast of cute little aliens. These Centaur and Toad folk are from the Surreal Factory. Here are a couple recent sculpts from Tentacle Art. These 15th century Teutonic spearmen appear to be Vinci Miniatures' first release. Warcarrot 40,000 by Sculptuner has some fun-looking bunny minis. KLT Studio has some Bunny Samurai and other models this month. Here are some of the Orcs, Goblins, and Trolls Black Crag Miniatures has been working on lately. To go with last month's Myconoid Queen, patron of the channel Sculptor's Cave have Myconoid Beasts this month. Release the Kraken! These 5 Corsairs are from Realm Gate Studios. This is Balier, the Underworld Lord, by Miniatures Blueprint. Ivan has infantry, fighters, and planetary defense ships for the race of turtles. Here is a work-in-progress shot from Epic Adventure Miniatures. This Altorian Hammer Guard and Fancy Base are by Max and Raw. Pirates, a Hydra, and more from Your Neighbor Knight Minis. Combat Octopus has 3 Bundeswehr Panzer Grenadiers. Here are 3 new spaceships from Renin 3D this month. Print, Paint, and Play has a Jangly Man and a deck box for Starfinder. Cybermyths has an interesting nautical theme this month. Here are the 3 monthly monstrosities from Deathhaven. These strange creatures by Cult of Pickle are known as the Necked and the Tin Fane. Blastcool has 6 werewolves this month. Witches, Trolls, and Oni by Claudio Cassini Art. These are the Lightning Moth and the TC-31 Pinching Mech and more from the Lalalian Industrial Complex. Art of Mike has an army of modern sci-fi minis. These are Matoka and Ivor the Viking Warrior by 3DS of San. Blue Wyvern is working on a set of desert plant folk this month. Thunderchrome has something amazing to show you. It's right up these stairs over here. Yeah, through the door. No, just keep going. Keep going. A little further. These are Pharaoh Spears and a Cyber Priest from Star Pharaoh Foundry. The Portal of Morrow has Demon Spawn this month. Dwarves, Dread Elves, and an Inquisitor, all from Dragon's Lake Miniatures. Random Miniatures has some fun minis from different cartoons this month. Here are the latest World War II machines from Panzer Printer. This is Ugudal Puati, the Harbinger of Chaos by Clay Demon Miniatures. Polygrim has a good selection of miniatures and terrain for all your post-apocalypse needs. Dadi Dungeon and Dintorni has a little shipyard scene this month. Here is the complete Valley of Active Portals from Savant 3D and a preview of what's to come. A few more pirate chibis from Celia Miniatures before moving into sci-fi. These Zulgath here are the creation of maps and monsters. Here's a walker with weapon options from Fable Table. August McDaniel is still working on bringing the graveyard to life this month. Here is a Cavern Realm diorama by Misk Boy Mini. Mecha Miniatures has all the Orky bits you need to make an amazing army. Recently, I painted a couple of their mech guns. Check out my other channel to see. Here's Valkyrie Playground's most recent release. Stonehaven Miniatures has 15 characters for you this month. Arcanum Workshop's August release is the Cavern of Wrath. My 3D Print Forge has Voodoo and Hunter Trolls this month. The Jade Captain is the latest sculpt from Orc King Space War. Here's a work-in-progress industrial building from Patrick Miniatures. Magori Miniatures has Chaos Spawn this month, as well as Ironside Rifleman. Dwarf Tanks, Shock Troopers, Exosuits, and more from Red Nebular. This is Huntress of the Accursed by Kraken's Vault. Here are some new sculpts from 154. Rubim has statues from Monster Hunter and Helltaker this month. The Blue Expanse by Nova Minis is a full set of Orc Pirates, complete with airship/sea vessel. Maddox Historical Minis has mostly officers this month. Blue Art has some creepy creatures for all your horror needs. Stormtroopers, Not Stormtroopers, and a couple busts by Warblade Studio. RG Sculpt is still working on Hill Giants, with a bunch of different bases for them too. Here's a bunch more zombies and survivors from Vault Z. Catfolk, Foxfolk, a werewolf, and more from Naga Minis. Two Gargoyle Studio has some flyers for their Soldiers of Viria army. Across the Realms brings us the Minotaurs this August. These are the Aeolian Reserves from Surrogate Miniatures. Here are some Heroes and Leaders of the Land of Eros by Legend Builds. Velrock Art Miniatures has the Leonin tribe, each with different weapon options. Here's the first batch of August minis from Village's Hope Miniatures. Fictin Fu has a cute little songbird ornithopter this month. Here are some horse archers from Peculiar Companions. Hell Creator has statues and busts for characters from John Wick, The Witcher, and others. Here is what 3D Hexes has in store for you this month. This is a work-in-progress shot of Tiny Furniture Digital's Medieval Bar. Here's some upcoming horror minis from Role Playing Miniatures. This is Gravelords Season 2 from Fleshcraft Studio. Here is an early look at Imitation of Life's Next minis, as well as a gratitude bot. A Taste of Eternity is the August release from Flesh of Gods Miniatures. Wit's End from Print and Paint Miniatures has a bunch of big giants and a little droid. The Wood Wanderers and Other Beasts by Orc King. Heroes and Beasts has an Elf Ranger for the former and a Tree Ent for the latter. Featherfolks and Other Friends from Gloomy Kid Minis. Droids, a Duel, Terrain Tiles, and more from Studio DR. Galad Miniatures has 8 different heroes with some different weapon options. Greenskin Miniatures has an army of 10mm goblins with flyers and war machines. The Shadow Screamer Light Transport and Shadow Space Cloud Talons are the new models from one of my channel patrons, The Dork Factory. They're also doing a miniature swap with Edge Miniatures this month. These badass rats are from Cult Miniatures. Here's a couple fun-loving Infernals by Bella Noct Miniatures. Pop Mini's monthly theme is He-Man. Fantasy Cult Miniatures August release includes an Elven Heavy Chariot, Sorceress, Blade Masters, and more. The Blightergast Reanimators are Battle Yak Miniatures August release. Laserforge Miniatures has a Heavy Dreadnought this month, with different weapon options. It's all flyers and cavalry from Ilhadiel this August. This is the Bone Venger Prime by Drunk Magos Seller. Polygon Masterworks has 4 different mechs this month, with plenty of variants for each. Here's a work in progress of the Blood of the Vine Tavern by Dragon Workshop. Mini Rat Studio has an epic scale army including Mounted General, Hero, Wizard, and more. Sable Badger has Gaslands bits, bullet dice, game tokens, and more. Bogatir Printables has goblins this month. Turn-based Miniatures has high-risk contractors. Runes Forge has multi-part scavenger frontliners. Crucible of Games has vehicles, terrain, and personnel for their 2-Pi army. Here's a Dreadnought, Spiderbot, and Tidecaller from Dark Foundry Miniatures. Drunken Dwarf's August release has a fairy tale theme. Onmyoji has a Warlock, Sorceress, and Landsknecht, as well as Hellhounds and a bunch of Beggars and Madmen. These Dwellers of Nakai come from Void Realm Minis, as well as some kit bashing bits. Imperatum Art has some new beasts for you, including a Toxic Abomination and a Time Weaver. Warplock Miniatures has Part 2 of their Star Elven Host, and Part 3 of their small-scale Beastmen. Aether Studios has free ice caverns and hedge maze tiles, with expanded sets including a murder garden for patrons. Knucklebones has a couple troopers and a moon assassin this month. Here is the Ashes Fantasy Football Team by Mythbowl RN Studio. Albino Raven Miniatures has a small army with optionally mounted commanders and infantry. Maddox has Darth Vader this month, and a host of rebels for him to cut down. Lion Tower Miniatures has a bounty hunter with dogs, a drow weapon master, and more. Here are a bunch of wolf chariots by Wake's Emporium. Blue Sky Minis has a big boss on a shark beastie or in a mech suit, as well as a ninja goblin. Goonmaster Games has Dwarves vs. Moles and Savage Gnolls for their August release. Dinamu 3D is working on Misty and some Pokemon friends for her. Clay Beast Creations has a bit of Dinoception going on there with their Star Scales race. Here is an Undead Gunslinger from Big Mr. Tong, as well as Turnip 28 soldiers, an armored Chevy kit, and more. Rageous Creations is working on some heavy metal for their Battle Nuns. Tiger Skull RPG has a Skelly Warrior, Count Macabre, and a couple foxes. August brings Ashigaru units and Elite Guard Kirin Riders from Kyoshuneko Miniatures. Caballero Miniatures has Camel Cavalry, Casualties, a tent set, Horsemen, and more. Highcraft Miniatures has Orcs from the Dagor Guild and some Brogs Toads as well. Ronin Arts Workshop has an army of goblins and a band of adventurers to oppose them. Epics and Stuffs has some little cuties this month, and some big uglies as well. Davale Games has Northmen, mounted and on foot, a dwarf bannerman, and the Queen of the Spiders and her sons. Sacris Mundus has Dock Terrain from the Hive City of Kilden. This is an Undead Warrior wall decoration by Alexei Konev. From Bright Minis, we have Labyrinth Snakes and a Minotaur, and some Deserters. The quality of detail on these monster minis by Schlossbauer is starting to get really good. Here are the latest Adventurers and Heroes by Manuel Boria. Edge Miniatures has Arena Combatants this month. Titan Troll Miniatures is making orcs, bears, dire wolves and boars, and more. If you need chibi animal folk adventurers, then Diceheads has what you're looking for. Here are some sandworms and some rotten terrain from Tsarli Factory. Black Remnant has squads of scrappers and Sith troopers against a team of Jedi. Looks like that evil one is working on some evil marines this month. Four mortal heroes from DM Stash up against the Remnant Undead. Twin Goddess Miniatures has a goblin nurse this month, with a Skelly Janitor, Charlork the Investigator, and more. Raven Twin Miniatures has an army of Longhorns with infantry, elite, a shaman, and commanders. Signum Workshop has characters from 4 different factions this month. The Sicario Group and Gloryhammer are the new sculpts from Red Pilgrim Miniatures. The Jibujanga Goblin Tribe by Print Your Monsters seems to have a bit of a centipede problem. The Curse of Minos by Crippled God Foundry is all Minotaurs and Labyrinth. Dark Realms has a bunch of ruins from Arkenfell, plus some of a more jungle variety. Daybreak Miniatures' August release is titled The Vampire Knights of Strachenfeld. Duncan Shadow has Undead Mousefolk, Minotaurs, River Trolls, and more. Last Sword Miniatures is making Knights of the Sun this month, with a little bit of vampire thrown in for fun. Print Minis has a dockyard set this month, with cranes and ships and gangs to control them. Seb Miniatures has an army of multi-part Twi'leks this month, with some riding blurgs. Vevictus has drunken dwarves this month. Be careful, some of them have weapons. Here are questing knights, ghouls, and zombies from Monstrous Encounters. Masterwork Tools has sewer tiles this month, with floors, risers, and sluices. Here is a Cyber T-Rex from Atlan Forge, as well as Asgardian Rangers and Minoan Assault Myrmidons. Yasashi Kyojin Studio has a False Hydra this month, as well as a Battle-Worn Shark. Gearguts' Mech Shop has Mecha Squigs, Mech Guns, Burnaboys, and more. Lots of tree spirits and other forest-related creatures from Rocket Pig Games this month. Here's a giant crab from Great Grimoire, with some caravan performers, a noble lady, and more. Cobra Mode has a race of sentient fungus this month, the Hyphans. Asgard Rising has a nice little forest village and some spiderweb infested trees. Comet Lord Miniatures has Crypt Keepers, Vampire Nobles, Knights, Golems, and more. More gargoyles and other great sculpts of cartoon characters from Prey Collection Studios. Punga Miniatures has an Underworld add-on pack of football players this month, mostly goblins. Gamescape 3D has a nice little temple and a bunch of scatter terrain to go with it. Printed Obsession has a good number of mimics, a few witches, and more. Fotis Mint has new busts of Black Widow, a dwarf named Dane Ironfoot, and He-Man. Gunnery Sergeant Cassidy is Ritual Casting's August release, with many options for bust or statue. Mia K has a collection of her favorite monsters this month, as well as a couple Viking busts. The Sanguine Sea by 3D Art Digital has male and female Hafners, weresharks, and more. I'm super happy to announce that Forest Dragon has returned to Patreon, and bring with an army of small-scale despoilers. The Dragon's Rest has a new tile with a tree on it for the set of crypt tiles they've been working on. There are fairies, dryads, boar-riding satyrs, and more in Broken Anvil Monthly's Tales of Grimwood. Chapter 13, Realm of the Horse Earls, is the August release from The Printing Goes Ever On, with infantry, cavalry, and scenery. Unit 9 has several characters from Division X this month, as well as some modular multi-part members. The Black Riders by Highlands Miniatures are a company of pistol-packing cavalry. Clay Cyanide has a good many great old ones this month, as well as a tribal faction called the Ugox. The 3 sets from STL Miniatures this month are City Guard, Moneylenders, and a Papsicles has Skull Hunters this month, Humans vs. Aliens, as well as Ugox, modular multi-part alien baddies. As well as several humans, White Werewolf Tavern's August release, Circle of Druids, contains frog and bear folk. Avatars of War has multi-part wolf-riding goblins, as well as berserkers, barbarians, and other heroes. Anvil Digital Forge is working on the Augustus Infantry Fighting Vehicle this month, with different options for weapons and canopy. August brings Night Elves from Lost Kingdom Miniatures, some mounted on Kuryu, along with their leader riding a dragon. Bite the Bullet has some folks from Bullet Town this month, including a Butcher Knoll, Loxodon Commander, Master Chef, and more, with lots of terrain to go with. 3D Art Guy has the Betrayer King this month, as well as Direwolves, Undead Knights, a Pseudo-Dragon, and more. RNS Studios' August release, Age of Darkness, includes demons, vampires, heroes, monsters, and more. One Gold Piece has 3 musicians this month, 2 of them hobbits and the other an infernal. The Desert of Giant Skulls by Bestiarum Miniatures includes 2 tribes of warriors, with some of them riding giant vulture-looking birds. Dragon Trapper's Lodge has Tribal Hunters, a Dwarf Miner, and Human Trapper, as well as an Ursulith, a Beaverlisk, the Jackalope King, a Goose Dragon, and Minotaurs. Epic Miniatures' first set for the month is titled Blood Moon, including the Horseman Death, Nightmare Ghosts, Death Dogs, a Graveyard Golem, and some Diggers in for a surprise. There is Vampire Blood Mages, optionally Undead Horse-Drawn Carriages, several Skelly Folk, a Gentleman, Lady, and Jester, a War Priest with weapon options, Cube Slimes, Scarecrows, Enchantresses, a Vampire Noble, a Zombie Dragon, Shadow Horrors, Count Dracula, a Walking Abomination, Vampire Hunter and Huntress, and Animated Armor. Their second epic set this month is titled Cannibal Jungle, with giant piranhas, gas spores, several Gorgon sisters, a giant jungle temple, cannibal witches, strange-looking Otyug creatures, primitive snake folk, jungle kongs, eagle warriors, the huge feathered serpent Kukulkan, cannibal shaman, the watching tree, beetle knights, and wood wyverns. Deep Sea Tales from Cast and Play this August includes a kraken, an ancient sea dragon, sailors, their ship, and more. New models from the Maker's Cult include Valor Corps Heavy Artillery, Chaplain and Nurses, a Dark Techno Assassin, Dark Crusaders, and more. Infestation is the August release from Mini Monster Mayhem with Deathstalkers, Goliath Ants, Rhino Beetle Beasts of Burden, and more. The Kree Awakening from Cyberforge Miniatures is upon us, but the Space Utopia Collective has some nice ships to fight them off with. Who Dares Challenge the Wizards Guild? The August release from Heroes Infinite. Mages, wizards, and sorcerers for all occasions. One Page Rules continues work on their 3 main armies at the moment: Duchies of Vinci, Alien Hives, and the Mummified Undead. Lord of the Prince August release is The Goblin's Lair, where the king and his cronies are being bothered by a pair of black dragons. Some new models from MZ4250 include several colors of Slaad, blue, gray, and green, as well as a Spectre, a Sphinx, and more. Agama Rising from Archvillain Games is full of Flesh Rippers, Dino Riders, Lizard Folk, and Tribespeople. Inspired by old school orcs, Artisan Guild has an army of Black Razor Hobgoblins this month. And finally, Titan Forge Miniatures has the Wakataru tribe this month, warriors from a distant savannah sworn to protect their queen. New Titans of Adventure include a Human Hunter, Elf Warrior, and Dwarf Bard. Alright, time for the lightning round. Jeremy Smith. Warehouse Workshop. Realm Strider. MT Forge. 3D Print Games. Guardian's Destiny. Stormcrow. Project Mobius. Geek Undead Miniatures. Omega Head Studio. JG Sculpts. Miniatures by Ace. Legion Miniatures. Runesmith Miniatures. K-Scale Models. Uncanny Minis. Hammer of the Nerdsmith. Iconic Minis. The Aramu Project. And TPK Lab. That's all for now. I'd like to give a huge thanks to all my supporters on Patreon. Check back next week for more, and thanks for watching.